Hi, my name is Andrew Langford-Jones. I graduated from Haileybury in 1967. Either you know me as Stink or you know me as Langers in my professional life, and I am the Director of Tournaments for the Australasian PGA Tour. I was all about the sport, I guess. Schoolwork was a secondary interest of mine, although like most kids, I suppose by the time I got to year 10, which was our fourth form, you start to grow up a bit and you realise that study is probably a bit more important if you're looking forward to the future. During the 80s, I became very good friends with the chairman of the PGA Tour through a fella called Terry Gale, who was a wonderful golfer back in the 70s and 80s. We had discussions one night about who would head up and who would look after it, and I recommended at the time a good mate of mine by the name of Trevor Herden. They made him the Director of Tournaments for the PGA Tour. At the same time, he asked me if I'd come down and help. And I said, Trevor, I know nothing about the rules of golf or running the tournament. Out I went with a radio, and I felt I was living the dream. I mean, all the great golfers of the world were there. I mean, every great golfer. But I was too dumb to know that I should have been nervous. All I knew is I had a radio, and so I'd walk into a ruling and say, look, Trev, he's up against a sprinkler head, what do I do? Pick the nearest point and drop it within one. Oh, yep. There was all care, no responsibility. So I remember without telling Trevor, I drove the golf cart out the front gate, across Sandringham, which you could do in those days, into my driveway. And in the meantime, the radio's going, Trevor's saying, how's it going? And I'm saying, oh, fantastic, I'm down here on 17, it's all good, Trev. And in fact, Robert Allenby's just playing his second shot because I'm watching it on the television at my house. So it was a bit of a joke for me in that first tournament, but eventually Trevor got an offer to go and work in the States. He left and the tour offered me the job in 2000 as Director of Tournaments. I accidentally fell into the job, and so I've been there ever since. I guess the President's Cup in Montreal was probably the one moment that really made me realise exactly how big this is. It was the last day, and it was still pretty tight between the internationals and the American team. Mike Weir had recently just won the US Masters and is the only major winner Canada has ever produced. Now, if you're not a Mike Weir fan or a Canadian, every other person there was following Tiger Woods because he was the number one in the world and just a magnet to the people. Every fairway, Mikey, Mikey, Mikey. But Tiger then put on the game face, and over the next 10 holes, he pegged it back, and they got to the 17th, and Mike Weir is one up with 2 to go. It's a little par 3, and it's an island green surrounded by water, and the pin is right on the edge of the water. And Mike Weir plays his shot right to the heart of the green, safe as all houses, 25 feet. Well, Tiger just stood up there, he lined up this pin, and he's just hit it to 3 feet, and the crowd went ballistic. So he wins the hole, and they're all square standing on the 18th. He pulls out the driver, and it's a dogleg around this lake, and for whatever reason, he has gone straight at the green. He needed to carry it 330 metres to make it across the lake, and it hit the bank on the far side and bounced back into the water. And Mike Weir then plays it down the straight line, and Tiger has to drop it at the start of the lake, where he pulls out a driver off a very ordinary lie and smashes it up onto the front edge of the green. Mike Weir hits it onto the middle of the green, and Tiger knows he has to hole it. And he's hit this chip, and it's rolled up the bank, up a tier, up another tier, and swung to the right and lips out. And with that, he just walked up, picked up Mike Weir's thing and said, Mike, that was one of the great matches. And with that, I just collapsed because I knew my match was over and I hadn't done too much wrong. So, but that was probably the most thrilling moment in my time. Golf is one of the great sports because it can be played from 6 years of age to 96 years of age. But I've been very lucky in that through golf I've met many of my sporting heroes, notable people that have loved to have been around golf. I was very lucky. I had a half an hour with Nelson Mandela and didn't realise for 10 minutes who I was talking to. My wife and I were in Washington for the President's Cup, and we happened to run into George Bush Sr. And as a part of that conversation, he asked us if we'd like to go and have a tour of the White House. Finally, we got round to where the Oval Office was and the door was closed. The aide knocked on the door to see if anyone was in there because he was going to let us have a quick peek in, and George Bush Jr. was there. So after a quick conversation, he invited us in, and that was just an experience in itself to be in the Oval Office. You had to pinch yourself. You know, it's just one of those positions that I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of people. The school has been a large part of my life, and I say that with a real warm feeling within. It's just been so good to me. It's opened so many doors. It's a sad thing to say that probably after 60 odd years, my best friends in life are still my school friends, and we've remained friends for life. Golf was one of the passions of my life and is the passion of my life. When I started, I was 35, all the guys were 25 to 35. Now I'm 68. They're still 25 to 35. I'm sure they'd look at me and think, what's Grandad still doing out here trying to run around with us? But finally someone will tap me on the shoulder. I've offered to resign a couple of times, and I'll be more than happy to go because I've had a great life. I can't think of any job that I would have preferred in sport than the one I've had. It's been a wonderful vehicle for me. I will miss it, but I'll probably get back to playing some golf.